The UMIDIGI Z Pro. Best budget phone. Android 6.0 Marshmallow with Android 7.0 OTA upgrade available. If you're thinking this phone looks familiar, you may be thinking of the UMIDIGI. UMI has now rebranded as UMIDIGI, and this Z Pro is almost identical to that other handset. All the changes are visible from the outside, with a new UMIDIGI logo on the back, a black color option, the Z comes in gray or champagne, and a dual camera at the rear. That's really all that's new in the UMIDIGI Z Pro, so if you can find the UMIDIGI at a lower price, it is worth your consideration. This UMIDIGI Z Pro was supplied to us for review direct from the company, but in the UK there are a number of outlets from which you can purchase it. UMIDIGI recommends TomTop, where the Z Pro costs £203.35. GearBest is another distributor, though both are based in China. It's important to point out that your consumer rates differ slightly when buying a smartphone from China than they do here in the UK, and you can read up more on that in our article on Grey Market Tech. One of the most important things to note is that customs may ask you to pay import duty on items shipped from China, which is calculated at 20% of the value on the shipping paperwork plus an admin fee of around £11. The UMIDIGI Z Pro design and build. Other than the new UMIDIGI logo, black color option and new camera setup at the rear, this smartphone is identical to the UMIDIGI. That means it, too, has a 5.5 inches panel, which makes the UMIDIGI Z Pro a phablet. UMIDIGI Z Pro core hardware and performance. The UMIDIGI Z Pro has two key selling points that differentiate it from other similarly priced Chinese phones on the market. The first is the 13MP selfie camera with soft LED flash, which will come onto later, and the second its Helio X27 processor. In time many phones will adopt this chip, but for now this Z Pro and the UMIDIGI are your only choices should you want to use it. UMIDIGI Z Pro connectivity and extras. Very often we find with Chinese phones, especially those from Xiaomi and Meizu, that they do not support the 800 MHz 4G LTE-FDD band that is used in the UK by all the major mobile operators. This is of particular issue to O2 customers, and those of companies which piggyback its network, such as Sky Mobile and giffgaff, whereas other mobile networks do not rely on that single 4G frequency alone for LTE connectivity. UMIDIGI Z Pro cameras. This is where we come to the key difference between the UMIDIGI and UMIDIGI Z Pro. Whereas the UMIDIGI is fitted with two 13MP Samsung SK5K3L8 cameras, one at the front and one at the back. The UMIDIGI Z Pro comes with one at the front and a dual 13MP Sony IMX 258 camera at the back. UMIDIGI software. You won't find any bloatware, gestures, or any other deviations from standard Android on the Z Pro. It is pre-installed with a stock version of Android 6.0 Marshmallow that includes a few Google apps but very little else. The notification bar and settings menus are exactly as you would expect to find them, and unlike Xiaomi and Meizu phones there is an app tray, as opposed to placing all app shortcuts on the home screen. The only real difference is the camera app, but it's easy enough to use. UMIDIGI Z Pro specs. 5.5 inches Full HD, 1920 by 1080, sharp IGZO 2.5D display. Android 6.0 Marshmallow with Android 7.0 OTA upgrade available. 2.6 GHz MediaTek Helio X27 deca-core processor. 875 MHz Mali-T880 MP4 GPU. 4 GB LPDDR3 RAM. 32 GB storage. MicroSD support up to 256 GB or dual SIM dual standby. 4G LTE-FDD 800/1800/2100/2600 MHz. Dual band 802.11 divided by B divided by G divided by N Wi-Fi. Bluetooth 4.1. GPS. OTG. Fingerprint scanner. Dual 13MP Sony IMX 258 camera with laser autofocus and quad LED flash, 4K video recording. 13MP Samsung S5K3L8 selfie camera with 1.4 micron pixels and soft LED flash. 3.5mm headphone jack. USB-C. 3780 mAh battery with fast charging. 154.6 by 76.8 by 8.2 mm. 175G.